friends, Shauna here, coming to you from the Snyder kitchen to share with you one of my favorite tomato dishes, stuffed tomatoes. Yeah, stuffed tomatoes. But there's a twist, it's stuffed grape tomatoes. Yeah. Okay, actually, there's a little bit more. So on our team, we're doing this tomato challenge where we are sharing all the different ideas for how to use and make tomatoes, our favorite recipes, anything tomato. It's called the tomato challenge. So I'm gonna actually ask that if you have a favorite tomato recipe that you would love to see me prepare, or one that you'd like to see me share with my team, please drop it in the comments below. I'm counting on you because I only know so many tomato recipes, you guys. I know you know. I know you're good for these. Okay, so shoot me some ideas in the comments. Love to hear from you. All right, without further ado, here's what we are going to be making: the stuffed grape tomatoes. So I cheated a little bit. So I figured out that I want to serve my little dish in this 1 quart enameled cast iron pan. So I filled it with as many grape tomatoes as I could. My recipe calls for about 48 grape tomatoes, but this is taking 55-ish, so we're just gonna go with that. Close enough. You're also gonna want half of an English cucumber, or I'm gonna be using the little baby cucumbers that I have on hand, and we're gonna be chopping those up. 2 green onions, 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, 1 brick of cream cheese, and we're using the low-fat version. Whatever you have on hand. And have you guys tried this? Our all-purpose dill mix. Oh my goodness, if you haven't tried this, so good. So good. I love putting this on my buttery carrots. Awesome. Okay, so that's what you're gonna need. And a couple tools that you're gonna wanna have on hand. Something to fill your cherry tomatoes, your grape tomatoes up. We're gonna be using our Easy Accent decorator today. And because I love a shortcut, we're going to be using our manual food processor to chop our onions and cucumbers super fine. So you're also probably going to want a really good paring knife and a cutting board. And that's about it, you guys. And somewhere to put these grape tomatoes when they're all full of yummy goodness. All right, let's get started. So these grape tomatoes, really, you can stuff them however the heck you want. But this is one way that we enjoy them in our house. So our next step in our cooking adventure is to take a very sharp paring knife. And what you want to do is cut off the tiniest little bit at the bottom. Just a sliver, a little tiny sliver like that. Just enough to give it a little bit of a flat bottom so that it's going to sit upright. And then you're going to go to the other side and just cut off the top. So you're going to end up with something like this. And we'll set that aside. We're going to do that for all of our tomatoes. Once you have finished cutting off both ends of your tomatoes, you are going to grab something to hollow them out. What I have found works the very best when you're using grape tomatoes is actually my 1/8 of a teaspoon measuring spoon. So what you're going to do is take your 1/8 of a teaspoon, slide it in to your grape tomato, and just start moving it around. You're basically scooping out all of those seeds and creating a nice hollow. Okay, once it's scooped out, set it upside down, and I like to use the grooves of my cutting board actually to help it. It's going to drain. You want it to drain out a little bit. So just repeat that process until you're finished. A little bit of a labor of love, but it's so impressive when you're done. So if you were using like cherry tomatoes, which are a little bit bigger, you totally might be able to get away with like the 1/4 teaspoon. But this 1/8 teaspoon seems to be perfect. for these little guys. Once in a while you might find you get a little bit of a split there because some of them are really skinny, but that's okay. When we fill it up, you're not even going to notice, I promise. If you find you went right through the tomato to the very other side, don't even worry about it. Because whenever you fill them up and set them down, they're going to be just fine. So I'll set that aside. They're all draining nicely. These are cream cheese that's been softened to room temperature. I suggest using the most high quality of cream cheeses. It spreads nicer, it's smoother, it's easier to get the lumps out, which when we're going to be piping these into those teeny tiny little vessels, any help for getting it super creamy that you can get is going to be all the better. I'm going to go ahead and add the 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. Oh my gosh. Make sure you remove Make sure you remove the cream cheese wrapper. Pretend we didn't see that. I'm telling you, pampered, not perfect. Oh dear. Alright, and as we're mashing and mixing that up, we'll go ahead and add our 1 teaspoon of all-purpose dill mix. May as well get that going in there too. Just gonna grab our little small mixing scraper. Works really well for mashing. Mash it really, really well. This is your one shot to get it super ridiculously smooth. When you think you're done mashing, mash some more. Should end up something like this. Super creamy. Next, we're gonna want to get our cucumbers ready for chopping. So go ahead and take off the ends of your cucumbers. You can peel them. Like if you find that your cucumbers are tough on the outer edge, the skin, peel them. But I find myself, I really like that little bit of extra color in the dip. And I'm just going to give it a rough chop before adding it to our manual food processor, which is going to do all the work for us, all the hard work. Add our onions, our green onions. Chop the ends off. And I'm going to chop just above. See where it starts to bend and crease? Like the whole onion is edible, but I find anywhere up above that joint is where it's going to start to get a little bit harder to chew. So we're just going to go with about those parts. Okay, and just give them a rough little bit of a chop. Again, because our manual food processor is going to do all the difficult work. I love that it's just 3 pieces. The bowl, the blade, and the lid. Once in a while I might give it a little shake just to get some of the bigger chunks moved to the bottom. The nice thing is the more you chop, the finer the texture becomes. So because we're going to be piping this through our piping tips, we want to get it as fine as we possibly can without it going to like a puree. Alright, we're going to go ahead and add that to our cream cheese filling. So this is the point where we can give it a little bit of a taste, and that way we can adjust our recipe if necessary, because it is, after all, your recipe. It's so good. It's fresh. It's very summery. We could totally get away adding a little bit more dill mix, in my opinion, just a bit. Just a little light on the dill. But that's my taste, okay? You do you. And that's the beauty of cooking, right? You do you. All right, that's it. I mean, how easy was that, you guys? Next thing we're gonna do is get our vessel for piping into the tomatoes ready. We're today using our Easy Accent decorator, and I picked the tip that is the biggest. That way, you know, nothing's gonna get stuck, or at least we hope nothing is gonna get stuck inside the tip. So we'll get that ready. We'll load it up with our filling. Now this is very generous, this filling. Like, there's a lot of filling in here, so you really don't have to be worried about, you know, being skimpy when you're filling your tomatoes. And the good news is this stuff's awesome with some tortilla chips, or even dipping it in your other half of your cucumber. I love this thing. I use this to decorate deviled eggs. It's like totally my go-to deviled egg tool. All right, so as you can see, it's already starting to, it wants to come out already, so we're just gonna pop that into the hole, squeeze down on the trigger, and fill. So easy, you guys. A little messy, but easy. Or if we tried a different tip, one with a little bit of a more narrow head, since we did manage to get it so creamy. Oh, let's try that one, the filler. Let's try it. Oh yeah, hello. That works really good. Because it's so narrow, that head, it's almost like it was made for this job. Yes, now we're talking. Now we're in business, see? Pro tip. Once I got going, I got thinking, gee, what would happen if I set up all my tomatoes ready to pipe right in the dish? And guess what? So much easier. I really hope you liked this recipe, my friends. It is definitely one of my favorite. I've never made them in grape tomatoes before. Always in the bigger cherry tomatoes. So it's pretty exciting to see how it has changed this recipe. And as you can see, lots of dip left, so we will be able to have a little snack on top of that. All right, my friends, I will show you pictures of the end result once they're all in our dish. But for now, I'm gonna go finish up, and I will talk to you later. Bye, you guys. Again, let me know, drop me some comments. I wanna hear your tomato recipes.